Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're cracking open the case file on one of humanity's greatest moments, the moon landing, and the possibility that it's hiding some seriously dark secrets.
For decades, we've all been taught one version of events about our trips to the moon. But what if there's another story, a much stranger one, that's been deliberately kept from us? We're going to dig into the official narrative, the bizarre anomalies, and hear from people who claim we were absolutely not alone up there. So, let's get into it.
All right, so the story we all know starts back in 1961. President Kennedy throws down the gauntlet, challenges the nation. It's all framed as this amazing quest for science and national pride, this peaceful competition with the Soviets. But the real agenda? Well, that was a whole lot more strategic.
And this quote right here, it just reframes the whole thing, doesn't it? It wasn't about planting a flag for humanity. It was about gaining military supremacy, about controlling the ultimate high ground. This way of thinking led to some top-secret plans for lunar bases long before Apollo 11 even got off the ground.
It was called Project Horizon, a real declassified plan to militarize the moon. The goal was pretty straightforward: turn our moon into a strategic outpost in the Cold War. But what if, when we finally made it there, we found out the real estate was already taken?
So that picture-perfect story of calm, cool astronauts on a flawless mission, it starts to crack pretty much from the get-go. As missions got close to the moon, the crews started to experience things that just weren't in the script, weird things that were kept out of the public eye for years.
Can you imagine? The crew of Apollo 10 is on the far side of the moon, complete radio silence from Earth, and suddenly their headsets fill up with this eerie, whistling music. They were so baffled they actually debated whether to even tell mission control. Whatever it was coming from somewhere nearby. And you can bet NASA kept that little detail under wraps for decades.
Okay, so if strange sounds aren't enough for you, how about just silence? During the most historic moment, the Apollo 11 moonwalk, 2 whole minutes of audio are just gone, wiped from the official NASA tapes. Why? Well, according to an unofficial transcript that some ham radio operators claim to have picked up, it's because they saw something incredible.
Now, NASA, of course, says this is totally bogus. But whether it's real or not, this supposed transcript sparked decades of speculation that the astronauts were told in no uncertain terms to keep their mouths shut about what they really saw up there.
But honestly, the most shocking claims don't come from fuzzy radio intercepts. They come from the men and women who were actually inside the program, people with security clearances who say they saw the truth with their own 2 eyes.
Let's talk about Carl Wolf. He was an airman who claimed that while he was at a NASA facility, another guy showed him these detailed photo mosaics from the lunar orbiter. And on them, he saw clear structures, mushroom-shaped buildings, towers. He said he was willing to testify before Congress, but before he could, he was killed in a hit and run. His death remains unsolved.
And then you have Dr. Ken Johnston. This guy was an engineer whose job was to catalog every single photo from the Apollo missions. He said he was ordered to destroy the archives, but he secretly saved a set because they showed, well, ruins, ancient technology, things that were clearly not man-made. The moment he came forward with this, he was fired from his job at NASA.
Then you've got Donna Hare, another NASA contractor. She tells a story about a photo technician who basically admitted to her that there was a protocol. If they saw UFO or anything weird in a photo, they would just airbrush it out before releasing it to the public. Just, standard procedure.
Okay, these are some world-changing claims. I mean, absolutely massive. But you have to ask, how do they actually hold up? Is this proof of an alien presence, or is there a much more boring explanation?
So let's look at that space music. NASA eventually came out and said, oh, that was just radio interference between the 2 spacecraft. Simple, right? Technical glitch. But some astronauts who actually flew these missions, like Al Worden from Apollo 15, basically said, no way. They argued they were far too experienced to be fooled by some routine static.
So what about the whistleblowers? Their stories are so compelling, but critics point out that most of them were contractors, not really high-level insiders. And without the original photos, without any hard proof, it really just boils down to their word against NASA's.
But then you get something like this, which makes it really hard to just brush everything off. This is an official photo, and a huge section of this crater is just gone, blacked out, intentionally censored. You can't help but ask, what is under that blur?
Now, for all those other things people see in the photos, the pyramids, the towers, you name it, NASA has a standard answer: pareidolia.
It's just a trick of the mind. Your brain is designed to see patterns, so you see a face on Mars or a building in a pile of rocks. It's the same thing as seeing shapes in the clouds.
For 50 years, these have just been questions, right? Debated in the shadows, mostly written off as conspiracy theories. But that might all be about to change.
Think about it. We were in this frantic, all-out rush to get to the moon. And then, after just a few missions, in 1972, we just stopped. The Apollo program was canceled, even though they had more missions ready to go. And here's the really weird part. The Soviet moon program also just quietly shut down at almost the exact same time.
So why? Why would both superpowers, at the absolute height of the Cold War, just decide to pack up and leave the moon? Was it really just about budget cuts, like they told us? Or, as some people believe, were they both warned to stay away?
Well, after half a century of leaving it alone, the moon is suddenly the hottest destination around. It's about to get really crowded up there. You've got the US, China, Russia, India, Japan, plus private companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin, all racing to get back.
And here's the bottom line. We're about to have more cameras, more rovers, and more eyes on the moon in the next decade than in all of history combined. So whatever secrets are hiding up there, they might not stay secret much longer. This isn't just a historical mystery. This is a story that's unfolding right now.
And that leaves us with one last question. With everyone going back, are we finally going to get some answers, some real transparency, or are we just going to discover a whole new set of secrets to hide? As we return, will we solve the Apollo mystery, or will we find something even stranger waiting for us on the dark side of the moon?